This is unacceptable. I want that deal closed by the end of the day or you're finished. Don't call me again until it's handled.
I don't care about her. She's just low-class trash who belongs in the dirt.
Tariq thought he was completely untouchable. Standing in his multi-million-dollar penthouse, the arrogant oil tycoon looked down at the quiet black maid cleaning his floors and muttered a brutal insult in fluent Arabic, confident she wouldn't understand a single syllable. He told his business partner over the phone to ignore her, calling her low-class trash who belongs in the dirt. But Tariq didn't know one crucial detail. This woman wasn't just a maid. And she didn't just understand him. She spoke his native dialect flawlessly. 3 seconds later, the smile vanished from Tariq's face. In perfect, elite Arabic, she answered him back, delivering a message that made his blood run completely cold. She wasn't there to clean his office. She was Amal, the undercover lead investor of the $500 million tech merger his company desperately needed to survive bankruptcy. As her words echoed through the room, Tariq's phone buzzed with an urgent notification. His biggest contract had just been terminated. In a single moment of arrogant disrespect, he hadn't just insulted a worker. He had entirely destroyed his own billion-dollar empire. But how did a brilliant, multilingual tech investor end up wearing a maid's uniform in Tariq's office in the first place? And what dark secret was Tariq hiding that forced her to go undercover? To understand the devastating trap he walked into, we have to go back to exactly 7 days ago, when everything began. To the rest of the world, Amal was a ghost. If you looked at her simple attire, her worn-out sneakers, and the quiet way she kept her head down while riding the subway at 5 in the morning, you would never guess who she truly was. You wouldn't guess that she held a master's degree in international finance from one of the most prestigious universities in Europe, or that she spoke 4 languages fluently, including the precise, elite dialect of Arabic used by the wealthiest oil tycoons in the Middle East. But Amal hadn't inherited her brilliance from a wealthy lineage. Her story began in a small, cramped apartment on the outskirts of the city, raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. Her mother, a proud and dignified woman, had spent 25 years cleaning the offices of arrogant executives who never once looked her in the eye or learned her name. Amal remembered the nights her mother would come home, her hands blistered from harsh cleaning chemicals, her spirit bruised by the casual cruelty of people who thought their bank accounts made them superior human beings. Her mother would always tell her, "Amal, never let anyone look down on you. True royalty is found in character, not in a crown. Wealth can disappear in a day, but integrity is eternal." Those words became Amal's armor. She worked twice as hard as her peers, breaking into the cutthroat world of global venture capitalism. By the time she was 30, she had become the chief managing partner of Apex Global Holdings, a multi-billion-dollar investment fund that rescued dying tech companies and turned them into empires. Which brings us back to Tariq Al-Mansur. Tariq was the CEO of Al-Mansur Tech Solutions, a company that looked flawless from the outside but was bleeding millions on the inside due to his reckless greed and poor management. Tariq desperately needed a $500 million cash injection from Apex Global Holdings to save his reputation and keep his company from filing for bankruptcy. He had sent dozens of emails, begging for a meeting with the mysterious lead investor of Apex, a person the public only knew as Partner A. Amal was Partner A. She held the power to save Tariq's legacy with a single stroke of a pen, or let it burn to the ground. But before she signed over $500 million of her firm's money, Amal wanted to know who Tariq really was behind closed doors. She knew that a man's true character is never revealed by how he treats his equals or his superiors, It is revealed by how he treats those he believes can do nothing for him. So, instead of arriving at Tariq's skyscraper in a sleek black limousine wearing a tailored designer suit, Amal did the unthinkable. She contacted a local corporate cleaning agency owned by a trusted childhood friend. She put on a simple, faded blue maid's uniform. She tied her hair back, left her luxury watch at home, and picked up a mop bucket. She was going into the lion's den entirely unprotected, determined to test the soul of the man who wanted her millions. Before we see the shocking moment Amal walks into Tariq's office for the first time, I want to ask you a serious question. Do you believe that wealth changes people, or does it simply reveal who they truly were all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I read every single one of them. As Amal walked through the grand glass doors of Al Mansour Tech Solutions, the sheer scale of Tariq's vanity was on full display. The lobby was lined with imported white marble, gold leaf accents, and massive oil paintings of Tariq himself. The air smelled of expensive cologne and corporate greed. The security guards at the front desk barely glanced at Amal as she swiped her temporary cleaning badge. To them, she was just a part of the background scenery, a faceless laborer hired to erase the scuffs left by the feet of important people. Amal smiled quietly to herself, feeling the cold weight of the mop handle in her hand. For 25 years, her mother had been invisible in buildings just like this one. Now, Amal was invisible too. But this time, the invisible woman held the entire future of the company in her hands. She took the elevator up to the 50th floor, the executive penthouse suite where Tariq's office was located. As the elevator door slid open, she was met with a chaotic scene. Shouting echoed down the hallway. "I don't care what you have to do. Clean it up before the Apex representatives call back." A booming, arrogant voice roared from behind a set of massive mahogany double doors. Amal took a deep breath, gripped her cleaning cart, and pushed the doors open. There stood Tariq Al Mansour. He was clad in a custom three-piece Italian suit, his hair slicked back perfectly, pacing around a desk made of exotic wood. He was red-faced, screaming at an elderly receptionist who was trembling, holding a stack of papers. Without even looking up to see who had entered the room, Tariq pointed a finger aggressively toward the corner of the office where a cup of coffee had been spilled onto the pristine carpet. "You," Tariq snapped, his voice dripping with condescension as his eyes finally locked onto Amal's Maid uniform. "Get over here and clean this up instantly. And don't make a sound. I am expecting a call from someone who actually matters." Amal didn't say a word. She simply bowed her head slightly, walked over with her cloth, and knelt down on the floor right beside his expensive leather shoes. As she wiped the stained carpet, Tariq turned his back to her, picked up his phone, and dialed a number. He had no idea that the woman kneeling at his feet was about to change his life forever. To truly understand the depth of the trap Tariq Al Mansour was digging for himself, one had to look past the glossy magazine covers that branded him a self-made tech visionary. The media loved a story of rapid success, and Tariq played the part perfectly. He wore custom-tailored suits, flew across the globe in a private Gulfstream jet, and spoke at international conferences about innovation and leadership. But behind the smoke and mirrors of his public persona lay a darker, uglier reality. Tariq hadn't built his empire on brilliance. He had built it on exploitation, stolen ideas, and absolute ruthlessness. He was a man who viewed human beings as disposable cogs in a machine designed to feed his insatiable ego. In the cutthroat world of technology, Tariq was notorious among insiders for a practice known as brain draining. He would hire young, brilliant, naive engineers fresh out of university, promise them a future of wealth and mentorship, and then systematically steal their software patents before firing them without a single penny in royalties. He insulated himself behind an army of expensive corporate lawyers, confident that the poor and powerless could never afford to fight him in court. But his luck was rapidly running out. 6 months ago, a massive internal security breach had exposed a fatal flaw in Al Mansur Tech Solutions' flagship software. The company's core product, an advanced encryption program used by major global banks, was unstable. If the public found out, the stock price would plummet to zero overnight, and Tariq would face not just bankruptcy, but federal prison for fraud. He had managed to cover up the leak, but he was drowning in debt. He needed exactly $500 million to completely overhaul the infrastructure and silence the whistleblowers. And that was why Apex Global Holdings was his absolute last hope. If Partner A approved the merger, the cash injection would wash away his sins, hide his fraud, and cement his status as a billionaire forever. But inside his penthouse office, completely unaware that Partner A was currently kneeling on the carpet 3 feet away, cleaning up a coffee stain, Tariq was acting like a king on a throne. He walked over to his desk, completely ignoring Amal's presence as if she were a piece of office furniture, and pressed a button on his intercom. "Marcus, get into my office." "Now," Tariq barked. A few moments later, the heavy mahogany doors opened, and Marcus, the chief operating officer of the company, walked in. Marcus was a nervous, pale man in his late 40s, clutching a tablet to his chest like a shield. He looked exhausted, with deep purple bags under his eyes, the physical toll of working under a tyrant for 5 years. "Do we have a confirmation on the meeting with Partner A from Apex?" Tariq demanded, not even offering Marcus a seat. Marcus swallowed hard, his eyes nervously darting toward Amal, who was quietly wiping down the baseboards near the desk. Marcus felt uncomfortable discussing highly confidential corporate secrets in front of the cleaning staff, but Tariq noticed his glance and scoffed loudly. "Don't worry about her," Tariq said, his voice dripping with casual malice. "She doesn't speak English, Marcus. Look at her. These agency cleaners are just warm bodies filling uniforms. They don't have the brain capacity to understand a word of what we do here. Now answer my question." Amal's hand paused on the cleaning cloth for a fraction of a second. A cold, sharp anger flared deep within her chest, but she didn't look up. She kept her face down, processing the sheer arrogance of the man. She remembered her mother coming home with tears in her eyes after being insulted in the exact same way. Amal took a slow, silent breath, channeling that anger into absolute focus. Let him talk, she thought. The higher his pride, the harder his fall. Marcus cleared his throat and looked down at his tablet. "Sir, Apex Global Holdings confirmed that Partner A's legal team has finalized the preliminary paperwork. However, Partner A has requested a final, personal audit of our corporate culture and employee retention rates before signing the final contract on Friday." Tariq let out a harsh, mocking laugh. "An audit of corporate culture? What a joke. These billionaire trust fund investors love pretending they care about the little people. Fine. Hire an agency, craft a fake report, fill it with pictures of smiling employees, and send it over. If Partner A wants a fairy tale, we'll sell them one." "But sir," Marcus whispered, stepping closer to the desk, his voice trembling. "The whistleblowers from the engineering department. They are threatening to go directly to Apex. They want to tell Partner A that we stole the core algorithm for the new software upgrade from that young black intern we terminated last month. If Apex finds out we don't actually own the IP, the deal is dead." Amal's ears perked up. This was the exact information she had come to find. Her firm had suspected that Al Mansur Tech Solutions was hiding something massive in their intellectual property portfolio, but their public audits hadn't found any discrepancies. Now, by sitting quietly in a maid's uniform, She was getting the unfiltered, criminal truth straight from the CEO's mouth. Tariq's face instantly twisted into a mask of pure fury. He slammed his fist down on the exotic wood desk, causing the remaining paperwork to scatter across the floor. Then make sure they never get the chance. Tariq roared, standing up and towering over Marcus. I don't care how much money you have to slide under the table. By their silence. If that in turn tries to talk, remind her of the non-disclosure agreement she signed. Tell her I will sue her family into absolute poverty before she ever sees a courtroom. No one, absolutely no one, is going to ruin this $500 million deal for me. Do you understand me? Marcus nodded frantically, sweat dripping down his temple. Yes, sir. I'll handle it immediately. Good. Now get out of my sight. I have a conference call with our Dubai investors in 10 minutes, and I need absolute silence. Tariq snapped, waving his hand dismissively. As Marcus hurried out of the office, Tariq slumped back into his leather chair, rubbing his temples. He looked down at the floor, where Amal was quietly picking up the papers that had fallen when he slammed his desk. Tariq sighed in irritation, pulling a crisp $100 bill from his gold money clip. He didn't offer it to her out of kindness. He threw it carelessly onto the floor right next to her cleaning bucket, as if he were throwing a bone to a stray dog. There, Tariq muttered in a bored tone. Take that, clean up the rest of this mess, and get out. Your presence is ruining the energy in my room. Amal looked at the $100 bill resting on the floor. She didn't touch it. She slowly stood up, keeping her posture humble, but her eyes locked onto the desk. She placed the papers neatly on the edge of his table, picked up her cleaning bucket, and walked out of the room without saying a word. The countdown to Friday had officially begun. Tariq thought he was buying silence, but he had just handed the executioner the rope. Tariq has no idea that his $500 million lifeline is entirely controlled by the woman he just humiliated. If you are waiting to see the look on his face when the truth is finally revealed, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single chapter of this unfolding justice. Amal did not return to the corporate cleaning headquarters that evening. Instead, she sat in the back of a dimly lit, unmarked black van parked 2 blocks away from the Al Mansur Tech Tower. Surrounding her were glowing computer monitors, legal briefs, and 3 of her firm's top private investigators. She had just spent 8 hours scrubbing floors, but her mind was operating at an elite level. She pulled off the simple cotton hairband, letting her hair down, and looked directly at her lead investigator. The rumors are true, Amal said, her voice completely stripped of the submissive tone she had used in Tariq's office. Tariq didn't build the new core encryption software. He stole it from a black intern he terminated last month. Find out who she is. I want her name, her background, and her contact information before the sun comes up. The investigator's fingers flew across the keyboard. Within 3 minutes, a profile flashed onto the screen. Her name was Maya Linwood, 22 years old, a brilliant computer science prodigy from a low-income neighborhood, who had attended university on a full academic scholarship. According to the internal HR files leaked by a sympathetic source inside the company, Maya had developed a revolutionary data protection algorithm during her 3-month internship at Al Mansur Tech Solutions. It was a masterpiece of coding, a system that could stop 99.9% of all global banking cyber attacks. When she brought the code to Tariq, expecting a full-time position and a fair licensing agreement, he did what he always did. He signed her name to a heavily hidden, predatory intellectual property waiver buried deep inside her standard onboarding paperwork. The moment the system registered her code, Tariq had her security badge deactivated and had her escorted out of the building by armed guards under the false accusation of data theft. Amal leaned closer to the monitor, her jaw tightening as she read the final detail on the screen. Maya's mother was currently battling a severe medical condition, and the family was facing immediate eviction because Tariq's lawyers had frozen Maya's personal bank accounts with a frivolous intimidation lawsuit. Tariq hadn't just stolen her life's work. He was actively destroying her entire family to keep her quiet until the $500 million Apex merger went through. A dark, immovable resolve settled inside Amal's chest. This was no longer just a standard corporate acquisition audit. This was a rescue mission. Leave the lawsuit open, Amal instructed her team, her eyes flashing with a cold fire. Don't countersue yet. Let Tariq think he is winning. Let him believe his intimidation tactics are working perfectly. I want him completely comfortable, completely arrogant, and completely blind until Friday morning. This is the moment where corporate greed crosses the line into absolute evil. Tariq is using his billions to destroy a 22-year-old girl's entire future just to protect his secrets. If you were in Amal's position right now, would you immediately expose him to the police? Or would you wait until Friday to completely bankrupt his entire empire on a global stage? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Let me know if you would choose immediate justice or total destruction. The next morning, at exactly 6 o'clock, Amal was back in the blue Maid's uniform. She walked into the Al Mansur Tech Tower, her cart loaded with cleaning supplies, her eyes scanning every security camera, every executive door, and every whispered conversation. She was assigned to clean the 49th floor, the core research and development lab where the stolen software was being finalized for the Apex audit. The research and development floor was a high-tech maze of glass walls, glowing servers, and highly stressed programmers working 80-hour weeks under Tariq's looming threats. As Amal pushed her mop bucket through the glass double doors, she noticed Marcus, the chief operating officer, standing in the center of the room, shouting at a group of lead developers. "I don't care if the system is unstable," Marcus yelled, his voice cracking with desperation. "Tariq wants the demo ready by tomorrow afternoon. When the Apex representatives look at the screen, that software needs to look flawless. If it crashes during the live audit, all of you are fired, blacklisted from the tech industry, and sued for breach of contract." The developers stared at the floor in terrified silence. None of them dared to speak up. They knew that the code was missing its vital keystones, the precise adjustments that only its true creator, Maya Linwood, knew how to implement. Without her, the software was a ticking time bomb. Amal quietly walked past them, pushing her mop into the main server room. She positioned her cart directly in front of the primary terminal, out of the direct line of sight of the hallway security cameras. From her pocket, she pulled a small, sleek black USB drive, an advanced diagnostic tool created by her firm's elite cybersecurity division. With lightning-fast precision, she slotted the drive into the side of the main console. The screen flickered for a fraction of a second as the drive began cloning the entire software repository, capturing the digital fingerprints of Maya's stolen code and logging the internal system errors that Tariq was trying to hide. Suddenly, the heavy glass door of the server room slid open with a sharp hiss. Amal's heart hammered against her ribs, but her face remained a mask of absolute calm. She instantly dropped to her knees, grabbed her microfiber cloth, and began frantically wiping the base of the server rack. "What are you doing in here?" a cold, sharp voice demanded. Amal slowly turned her head. Standing in the doorway was Marcus. His eyes were narrowed, his arms crossed over his chest, looking down at her with a mixture of suspicion and profound annoyance. Amal kept her head bowed low, widening her eyes to look as submissive and frightened as possible. She spoke in broken, heavily accented English, intentionally mimicking a terrified, uneducated worker. "Sorry, sir, sorry. I clean. I wipe the dust. Major dust on the wires. Big boss, say make room perfect for big meeting. I leave now, sorry, sir." Marcus stared at her for 5 agonizing seconds. He looked at her worn-out sneakers, her cheap cleaning apron, and the cloth in her hand. His suspicion quickly morphed into pure, elitist disgust. To him, she was just an illiterate migrant worker who didn't even understand the value of the machines she was cleaning. "Get your bucket and get out," Marcus snapped, waving his hand as if shooing a fly. "And don't touch any of the cables. If your uneducated hands unplug one of these servers, you will spend the rest of your pathetic life in a jail cell. Go." "Yes, sir." "Thank you, sir." "Sorry, sir," Amal mumbled, bowing repeatedly as she grabbed her mop bucket. As she pushed her cart past him, her elbows subtly escalated against the side of the terminal, slickly palming the black USB drive from the port and sliding it up into her sleeve in one fluid, invisible motion. Marcus never noticed a thing. He walked deeper into the server room, completely oblivious to the fact that the woman he had just insulted had just walked out with the definitive criminal evidence that would destroy his entire career. Amal hurried down the back service elevator, her blood pumping with adrenaline. She needed to get this data back to her team immediately. But as the elevator doors slid open on the ground floor, she froze. Standing in the private executive garage, surrounded by 4 heavily armed security guards, was Tariq Al-Mansour. He was furious, screaming into his phone as he paced back and forth in front of his armored black Rolls-Royce. "I don't care where she is," Tariq roared into the receiver. "Maya Linwood is talking to a journalist. My sources say she has a copy of the original source code on a physical drive. Find her tonight. I don't care what you have to do. Take the drive from her, break her phone, and make sure she realizes that if she breathes a word of this before Friday, she won't just lose her house, she will lose everything." Tariq slammed his phone shut, his eyes scanning the garage in a paranoid rage. Suddenly, his gaze locked directly onto the service elevator. He saw Amal standing there, holding her mop bucket, her eyes wide. Tariq's face twisted into an expression of pure, homicidal fury. He realized she was the exact same maid who had been in his office the day before when he was discussing the whistleblowers with Marcus. He walked toward her, his steps heavy and menacing, his guards flanking him on both sides. "You," Tariq whispered, stopping just inches from her face, his breath hot against her skin. "You've been hovering around my office, and now you're down here in my private garage. Who do you work for? What did you just hear?" Amal stood perfectly still. The USB drive containing the stolen code was resting inside her sleeve, just inches from his hand. If his guards searched her right now, the entire undercover operation would collapse, Maya would be destroyed, and Tariq would escape justice forever. Amal is trapped. One wrong move, one glance at her sleeve, and her true identity as the multi-billion-dollar investor will be exposed to a desperate, dangerous criminal. Will she be able to trick Tariq one last time? Or is this the moment her $500 million trap falls apart? If your heart is racing right now, do not click away. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and look at the screen carefully, because the mystery continues, and the stakes are about to get infinitely worse. Tariq Al-Mansour was towering over Amal, his eyes bloodshot, his face twisted into a mask of pure paranoia. To a man who had lied, cheated, and stolen his way to the top, everyone was a potential threat. He looked at Amal's simple Maid uniform, but for the first time, he wasn't just looking down on her. He was analyzing her. The 4 heavily armed security guards stepped closer, their hands resting ominously on their holsters. The air in the private underground garage felt heavy, suffocating, and freezing cold. "I asked you a question, girl," Tariq hissed, stepping so close that Amal could see the reflection of her own calm eyes in his designer sunglasses. "You were in my office yesterday when Marcus was talking. Now you're down here in my private executive bay, clutching that damn cleaning cart. You don't look like you're cleaning. You look like you're listening. Who the hell are you?" Inside Amal's sleeve, the sharp metallic edge of the black USB drive was pressing hard against her wrist. One search, one simple command from Tariq to his guards to empty her pockets, and the entire multi-billion-dollar operation would explode. Maya Linwood would be ruined. Apex Global Holdings would face a massive public scandal, and Tariq would escape into the shadows with his stolen fortune. But Amal hadn't built a venture capital empire by panicking under pressure. She knew that the greatest weapon against an arrogant man is his own prejudice. He desperately wanted to believe that poor people were stupid, uneducated, and beneath him. So, she gave him exactly what his ego demanded. Amal's knees suddenly buckled. She let out a sharp, terrified gasp and allowed herself to collapse directly onto the concrete floor of the garage. The plastic mop bucket tipped over, sending a wave of dirty, soapy gray water crashing over Tariq's immaculate, custom-made leather shoes. Oh my God. Sorry, sir. Big sorry, sir." Amal screamed in a high-pitched, trembling, heavily broken voice. She threw her hands over her head, shaking violently on the floor, weeping hysterically. "Please, no police. Please, big boss. I know hear nothing. I only look for the elevator to the basement. The supervisor. He tell me clean the oil leaks on the floor. Look at the floor, sir. Big oil leaks." Tariq leaped back in absolute horror, his eyes darting down to his soaked, ruined $10,000 Italian shoes. The dirty cleaning water had completely stained the fine leather. His expression of suspicion instantly morphed into pure, unadulterated rage and disgust. "You stupid, clumsy peasant," Tariq roared, kicking a fallen cleaning brush out of his way. "Look what you did to my shoes. Look at this mess." The head security guard stepped forward, reaching down to grab Amal by the arm. "Sir, do you want us to take her upstairs and search her? See if she's carrying a recording device?" Tariq looked at Amal, who was now scrubbing the concrete floor with her bare hands, crying loudly, speaking in broken sentences, looking utterly pathetic, broken, and helpless. His elitist arrogance blinded him completely. He couldn't conceive of the idea that a high-level billionaire investor could ever humiliate themselves by kneeling in dirty water. To him, this was just the natural state of a low-class worker. "Search her," Tariq scoffed, wiping a drop of dirty water off his trousers with a silk handkerchief. "Don't waste your time touching that trash. She doesn't even have enough brains to operate a mop, let alone a corporate espionage device. Look at her. She's practically an animal. Get her out of my sight before I sue the cleaning agency and have her entire family deported." "Yes, sir," the guard replied, releasing Amal's arm with a rough shove. "Get up, get your cart, and clear out of here right now." Amal just used Tariq's own toxic arrogance to completely outsmart him, but the danger is far from over. Tariq's men are still hunting down 22-year-old Maya Linwood tonight. Before we get to the final moments, take exactly 2 seconds to hit that like button and drop a comment saying "Justice for Maya" to show you're standing with the underdog. Let's train the YouTube algorithm to push this story to the world. At 11:45 p.m. that identical night, the rain was pouring down in sheets over the poorest district of the city. Maya Linwood sat inside her tiny, cramped apartment, the air smelling of damp wallpaper and cheap instant noodles. The lights flickered violently as the thunder rolled overhead. On her small wooden table sat an old, battered laptop, its screen glowing with thousands of lines of complex, brilliant code. It was the original source code of her encryption software, the definitive proof that she was the true mind behind the tech Tariq was trying to sell for $500 million. Her phone lay beside her, buzzing continuously with blocked numbers and text messages from Tariq's legal team, filled with terrifying threats of multi-million-dollar lawsuits, immediate asset seizures, and criminal charges. Maya buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking as she wept quietly. Her mother was asleep in the next room, hooked up to an oxygen tank that cost thousands of dollars a month, money they no longer had. "I can't fight him," Maya whispered to the empty room, her voice cracking with absolute despair. "He owns the city. He owns the courts. He's going to destroy us." Suddenly, a loud, violent knock rattled her front door. Maya jumped out of her chair, her heart leaping into her throat. She stared at the door as the knocking grew louder, heavier, and more aggressive. "Maya Linwood, open the door right now," a rough, deep voice shouted from the hallway over the sound of the rain. "We know you're in there. We have a court-ordered injunction to seize all electronic devices and physical drives in your possession. Open this door, or we break it down." Through the small peephole, Maya's blood ran cold. Standing in the dimly lit corridor were three large men in dark trench coats, Tariq's private security enforcement team. They didn't have a legal court order. They were there to steal her backup drives and silence her forever. "No, no, no," Maya panicked, grabbing her laptop and looking around the tiny room for somewhere to hide. The wooden door frame began to splinter as the men slammed their shoulders against it. The lock was giving way. Maya backed into the corner of the room, clutching her laptop to her chest like a shield, tears streaming down her face as the door finally flew open with a loud bang. The lead enforcer stepped into the room, a cruel, cold smile spreading across his face as he spotted her. "Hand over the laptop, kid, and the backup drives. Make it easy on yourself, and maybe your mother keeps her medical equipment. Get out of my house," Maya screamed, backing up against the window. The enforcer lunged forward, his massive hand reaching out to rip the laptop from her grip. But before his fingers could even touch the plastic casing, a powerful, gloved hand suddenly grabbed him by the wrist from behind. With a swift, brutal twist and the sharp sound of popping cartilage, the massive enforcer let out a muffled scream of agony as he was violently slammed face first into the wooden dining table, shattering the structure into splinters. Maya gasped, dropping to the floor. Standing in the shattered doorway were four elite, professional security operatives dressed in flawless black tactical suits, earpieces glowing. And standing right in the center of them, shielded by a massive black umbrella, was a woman. She was no longer wearing a faded blue Maid uniform. She wore a tailored, midnight black designer trench coat, 5-inch Christian Louboutin heels, and a diamond watch that gleamed under the flickering apartment light. Her posture was regal, her face completely calm, radiating absolute wealth and terrifying authority. It was Amal. The remaining two enforcers drew their batons, moving aggressively toward Amal's guards. But within 3 seconds of silent, hyper-efficient combat, both of Tariq's men were pinned to the floor, handcuffed, and completely neutralized. Amal stepped over the groaning enforcers, her heels clicking softly against the linoleum floor. She walked over to Maya, who was shaking in the corner, staring up at her in utter disbelief. Who are you?" Maya whispered, her voice trembling. "Did Tariq send you to finish us off?" Amal gently knelt down in front of the young girl, her expression softening into a warm, deeply reassuring smile. She reached into her pocket, pulled out the black USB drive she had stolen from Tariq's server room, and placed it gently into Maya's hand. "No, Maya," Amal said, her voice rich, powerful, and deeply comforting. My name is Amal, and I am the person Tariq has been begging on his knees to meet for the last 6 months. I am partner A from Apex Global Holdings. Maya's eyes widened so wide it looked as if they would burst. The multi-billion-dollar investor? You're her. I am. Amal nodded, standing up and extending her hand to help Maya off the floor. I've been watching how Tariq runs his company. I saw what he did to you, and I saw how he treats the people who build his empire. I have the entire clone of his database right here. Your code is safe. Your mother's medical bills have already been paid in full by my firm tonight, and your family's eviction notice has been permanently dissolved. Maya stared at her, fresh tears spilling from her eyes. But this time, they were tears of pure, overwhelming relief. I don't understand. Why would someone as powerful as you risk everything to come down here for me? Amal looked out the window at the gleaming Al Mansur Tech skyscraper in the distance. Because 25 years ago, my mother was a maid who was crushed by men just like Tariq, Amal said, her voice turning into a cold, sharp blade. And I promised her I would spend the rest of my life making sure men like him learn that the people they try to bury are the very ones who hold the shovel. Pack your laptop, Maya. Tomorrow morning is Friday, and you and I have a $500 million execution to attend. The next morning, the sun rose over the city, bathing the glass facade of Al Mansur Tech Solutions in a brilliant, golden light. Inside the grand executive boardroom on the 50th floor, Tariq Al Mansur was practically vibrating with excitement. The massive mahogany table was set with expensive crystal water glasses, high-end catering, and 20 of the company's top executives sitting in silence. Tariq looked at his watch. 9:00 a.m. The exact time scheduled for the arrival of partner A from Apex Global Holdings. Suddenly, Marcus hurried into the room, his face completely pale, sweat soaking through his collar. He ran straight to Tariq's side and whispered frantically into his ear. "Sir, we have a massive problem. The security team I sent to eliminate Maya Linwood's files last night, they vanished. They aren't answering their phones. Their cars were found abandoned in an alley. And worse, the engineering department says there is a strange digital lock on our core servers. We can't access the demo software." Tariq's heart skipped a beat, a cold sweat breaking out across his neck. "What do you mean you can't access it? Fix it. Break the lock." Partner A is walking through those doors in less than 60 seconds. Before Marcus could answer, the grand double doors of the boardroom were violently thrown open by 2 towering guards in black suits. Announcing partner A, Chief Managing Director of Apex Global Holdings, a sharp voice echoed through the room. Tariq instantly smoothed down his tie, pasting a massive, sycophantic smile across his face as he stood up to greet the person who was about to hand him $500 million. But as the figure walked through the doorway, the smile on Tariq's face instantly froze. His eyes bulged out of his head, his skin turned a sickening shade of ash white, and his knees buckled so violently he had to grab the edge of the mahogany table to stop himself from collapsing to the floor. Walking into the room, surrounded by an international legal team, was the exact same black maid he had insulted, humiliated, and forced to clean dirty coffee off his shoes just 24 hours ago. And standing right beside her, holding a pristine silver briefcase, was Maya Linwood. The trap has just snapped shut. Tariq is looking into the eyes of the woman he called an animal, realizing that she holds his freedom, his fortune, and his entire life in her hands. How will Tariq try to beg for his life? And what devastating final blow does Amal have waiting for him in her briefcase? Do not turn away, because the final confrontation is about to begin, and justice is about to be served cold. The silence inside the 50th floor boardroom was so heavy it felt suffocating. 20 high-level executives sat completely frozen in their leather chairs, their eyes darting back and forth between their billionaire CEO and the woman who had just walked through the double doors. Tariq Al-Mansur was still clutching the edge of the mahogany table, his knuckles turning pure white as his body shook. The arrogant, untouchable tycoon looked like he had just seen a ghost. His breath came in short, ragged gasps as his brain desperately tried to process the reality unfolding in front of him. The woman standing at the head of the room was no longer holding a plastic mop bucket. She was wearing a flawless, custom-tailored Navy executive suit that screamed old money and absolute power. Her hair was styled perfectly, her posture regal, and her eyes, the very same eyes he had looked down on with disgust just 24 hours ago, were now staring through his soul like shards of solid ice. "Yo, Tariq stammered, his voice cracking completely as a drop of cold sweat rolled down his pale temple. This is a mistake. You're the cleaning girl from yesterday." Amal didn't answer him immediately. She slowly walked to the head of the table, her 5-inch designer heels clicking with terrifying precision against the polished hardwood floor. Each click sounded like a countdown timer to Tariq's destruction. She took her seat at the absolute center of the table, the seat reserved exclusively for the owner of the room. Her elite international legal team immediately flanked her, opening sleek leather folders, while Maya Linwood sat calmly to her right, placing the silver briefcase flat on the table. Amal leaned back, crossed her legs, and looked directly into Tariq's trembling eyes. When she spoke, her voice was rich, smooth, and radiated a level of power that made every executive in the room instantly straighten their backs. "Sit down, Tariq," Amal said, her English completely flawless, devoid of any accent, dripping with absolute authority. "Your knees are shaking so badly I'm afraid you might break my table." Tariq collapsed back into his chair, his mind spinning in a vortex of pure panic. He looked at Marcus, his COO, who was sweating so profusely through his shirt that his collar was completely translucent. "Partner, Amal? Please," Tariq managed to gasp out, desperately trying to paste a sycophantic smile back onto his terrified face. "If I had known, if I had any idea who you truly were, I would have never. I mean, yesterday was just a misunderstanding. A stressful day, a silly joke. I respect the working class deeply." "A joke?" Amal interrupted him, her voice dropping into a dangerous, freezing register. "You called my mother's profession trash. You threw a $100 bill onto the floor and told me my presence was ruining the energy of your room. But more importantly, Tariq, you told your COO that cleaners don't have the brain capacity to understand a word of what you do here." She leaned forward, resting her elbows on the mahogany table, locking her gaze onto him. "You were right about one thing, though. I was listening. And because I was listening, I heard every single corporate crime you confessed to in your own office." Tariq's heart stopped. He slammed his eyes shut, realizing with absolute horror that the invisible woman he had treated like office furniture had been recording his entire reality. This is the ultimate corporate nightmare. Tariq thought he was completely safe because he was talking in front of someone he deemed insignificant. Let this be a lesson to every arrogant boss out there. Before we see what is inside Maya's silver briefcase, drop a comment below right now saying, "Pride comes before the fall," if you are loving this beautiful sequence of poetic justice. Amal tapped the table twice with her fingers. Instantly, her lead attorney stood up and slid a thick legal document across the exotic wood toward Tariq. "Let's discuss the $500 million merger you've been begging my firm for," Amal said calmly. "Apex Global Holdings does not invest in empty shells built on fraud. Yesterday, my cybersecurity team successfully cloned your core servers. We have the complete digital fingerprint of your flagship software. Tariq's face went from pale to completely green. He looked at Marcus, who looked like he was about to faint. We found the fatal flaw in your encryption system, Amal continued, her voice cutting through the room like a scalpel. The system is completely unstable. If the global banks find out, your stock crashes to zero by noon. But that isn't even your biggest problem, Tariq. Your biggest problem is sitting right next to me. Amal turned her head toward Maya, who opened the latched locks of the silver briefcase with a sharp click. This is Maya Linwood, Amal announced to the room of silent executives. The brilliant programmer who actually built the algorithm your company is trying to sell us. We have logged the original source code, the timestamps from her personal laptop, and the digital log showing that you explicitly deactivated her security badge and fabricated data theft charges to steal her life's work. No, that's not true. Tariq panicked, standing up and pointing a shaking finger at Maya. She signed an intellectual property waiver. She was an intern. Whatever she built belongs to Al Mansur Tech Solutions. My lawyers drafted a bulletproof onboarding agreement. You have no legal standing. Maya Linwood slowly stood up, looking Tariq directly in the eyes. The fear she had felt the night before in her rainy apartment was completely gone, replaced by the unshakable confidence of a genius backed by a multi-billion-dollar empire. Your lawyers are greedy, Tariq, but they aren't as smart as they think they are, Maya said calmly. The software block your engineering team discovered this morning? That wasn't a glitch. That was my original, built-in kill switch. I knew you were going to steal it. And the IP waiver you forced me to sign? It relied entirely on the company being financially solvent and free of fraud. The moment you committed security manipulation to hide the software flaw from Apex, that waiver became completely void. Tariq stepped back, his breath caught in his throat. He looked around the room at his own board of directors, but every single one of his executives was looking away from him, staring at the floor. They knew the ship was sinking, and none of them wanted to drown with him. As of 9:02 a.m. this morning, Amal added, her voice dropping the final executioner's axe, Apex Global Holdings has officially pulled out of the merger. We will not be investing a single dollar into Al Mansur Tech Solutions. Amal, please. Tariq practically screamed, dropping his hands onto the table, his eyes wide with absolute desperation. You can't do this. If you pull out of the deal, the banks will call on my short-term loans. My company will go into forced liquidation by the end of the week. I will lose everything. My penthouse, my jets, my name, everything will be gone. I know, Amal replied, her face completely expressionless. That is exactly the point. Tariq looked at her, his eyes filling with tears of pure, desperate rage. He realized he was dealing with an immovable mountain. His arrogance instantly twisted into a dark, vindictive venom. You think you've won? Tariq snarled, his voice turning into a vicious whisper as he leaned across the table. Even if this company goes under, I still have millions hidden in offshore accounts in Dubai. I will hire the most dangerous, cutthroat legal assassins in the country. I will drag this girl, Maya, through the mud for the next 10 years until her family is completely starved out. You can't destroy me completely, Amal. I am still Tariq Al-Mansur. Amal quietly smiled. A small, chilling smile that made Tariq's stomach drop into a bottomless pit. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her premium slate phone, sliding it across the mahogany table toward him. The screen was live, showing a streaming news broadcast from the financial network. The scrolling red banner at the bottom of the television screen made Tariq's lungs completely freeze. The headline read that the Al Mansur Tech Solutions CEO was under federal investigation for massive securities fraud, and his offshore assets had been frozen by Federal Cyber Command. Tariq stared at the screen, his mouth hanging open, his mind completely breaking. He looked up at Amal, his voice barely a whisper. How? How did they get the offshore account routing numbers? Nobody had access to those files. Nobody. Amal stood up, smoothing down her designer blazer. She leaned over the table, bringing her face just inches from his, mimicking the exact terrifying posture he had used against her in the private garage the night before. Remember when you threw that $100 bill onto the floor and told me to clean up your mess, Tariq? Amal whispered, her voice radiating a cold, magnificent victory. While I was down there on my knees cleaning your stained carpet, I noticed your private ledger backup drive plugged into the bottom of your secure router. Cleaner hands might be uneducated, Tariq, but they are incredibly efficient at taking exactly what they need. At that precise moment, the grand double doors of the boardroom were thrown open for the final time. Standing in the doorway were 6 federal agents wearing dark blue tactical jackets with letters emblazoned on the back, FBI. Tariq's empire hasn't just sloped downward. It has completely vanished into thin air. The federal agents are walking toward his desk with handcuffs out. His offshore millions are gone. And the woman he called a peasant is standing tall as the owner of the very building he built on lies. How will Tariq react when the steel cuffs finally lock around his wrists? And what is the ultimate, heartwarming gift Amal has waiting for Maya and her mother to close out this legendary story of karma? Turn up your volume and look at the screen right now, because the final resolution begins right now, and justice is about to be completely delivered. The steel handcuffs closed around Tariq al-Mansur's wrists with a sharp, heavy click. To a man who had spent his entire life believing that laws were just suggestions for the poor and that money could buy an escape from any sin, the cold touch of that metal was the ultimate reality check. The federal agents didn't care about his custom Italian suit. They didn't care about his multi-million-dollar penthouse or his luxury private jet. They gripped his arms firmly, pulling him out from behind the massive mahogany desk that had served as his throne for a decade. Tariq al-Mansur, you are under arrest for grand larceny, securities fraud, and wire manipulation, the lead agent announced, his voice echoing off the marble walls of the silent boardroom. Tariq didn't shout. He didn't rage. All the venom, the pride, and the fierce arrogance that had defined him for years completely drained from his body, leaving behind a broken, hollow shell. His knees buckled again, and the agents practically had to drag his feet across the polished hardwood floor. As they led him toward the double doors, he stopped. He raised his heavy, tear-filled eyes to look at Amal one last time. He was looking for a glint of mockery in her eyes. He wanted to see her gloat, to see her celebrate his ruin. But as he stared at her, he found something infinitely worse: absolute indifference. Amal wasn't celebrating. She was simply watching him the exact same way she had watched him the day before, as if he were just a temporary stain on a canvas that she was responsible for cleaning up. Amal, Tariq whispered, his lips trembling, his voice sounding like a desperate beggar. Please, my mother, my family's name. Don't let them take everything. Amal stood up from the center chair, her posture straight, her eyes radiating an unshakable moral weight. You aren't losing your wealth because of me, Tariq, Amal said, her voice echoing with the calm authority of karma itself. You are losing it because you forgot the most fundamental law of humanity. Wealth is a shadow. It stretches long in the afternoon sun, making you look giant. But when the night falls, the shadow vanishes, and you are left standing entirely alone with nothing but your character. You treated people like insects, forgetting that the universe always keeps the receipts. Go pay your debt. With a firm shove from the agents, Tariq was led out of the boardroom, his head bowed, surrounded by flashing cameras as the elevator doors closed on his empire forever. Tariq built an empire on arrogance, and he watched it vanish in a single hour. Before we see the beautiful, life-changing gift Amal has waiting for Maya and her mother, I want you to drop a comment below with just one word. Amen. If you believe that no matter how much money someone has, they must always treat others with dignity and respect. Let's fill the comment section with light today. The boardroom cleared out quickly. The terrified executives scattered like rats from a sinking ship, leaving only Amal and Maya standing by the massive glass windows overlooking the city skyline. The storm from the night before had completely passed, and the morning sun was breaking through the clouds, casting a brilliant, golden glow over the entire metropolis. Maya stood by the glass, holding her silver briefcase tightly against her chest, her eyes wide as she looked at the bustling streets below. She felt as if she were waking up from a year-long nightmare. "It's really over," Maya whispered, a tear of pure relief slipping down her cheek. "My code is safe. My family. We don't have to run anymore." Amal walked over, placing a warm, gentle hand on the young girl's shoulder. "It's not just over, Maya." Amal smiled, her eyes softening with deep emotion. "It's just beginning." Amal signaled to her legal team, and her lead attorney stepped forward, handing Maya a brand new leather portfolio embossed with the gold seal of Apex Global Holdings. "What is this?" Maya asked, opening the folder with trembling fingers. "Al Mansur Tech Solutions is going into forced federal liquidation," Amal explained, her voice rich with satisfaction. "By tomorrow morning, the courts will dissolve the corporate structure. But Apex Global Holdings has just purchased the entire intellectual property portfolio and the physical assets of the building for pennies on the dollar. And we have restructured the company under a brand new name, Linwood Tech Innovations." Maya choked back a sob, staring at the document. "Linwood? You named it after my family." "I did," Amal nodded. "And if you look at page 3, you will see your new title. You are officially the Chief Technology Officer and majority shareholder of the firm. The core encryption software you built will now be licensed globally under your name, and 60% of all international royalties will go directly into a private trust fund for your family. Your mother will never have to worry about a medical bill or an eviction notice for the rest of her life." Maya dropped the folder onto the table, throwing her arms around Amal, weeping tears of profound gratitude. Thank you so much. I don't even know how I can ever repay you for saving my life." Amal hugged the young girl tightly, her mind drifting back 25 years to a dark, cramped apartment where a proud, exhausted maid used to hold her hands and tell her to never let the world change her soul. "You don't owe me anything, Maya," Amal whispered softly, her voice filled with a beautiful, timeless wisdom. "You earned this with your brilliance and your integrity. Just promise me one thing. When you sit in that big executive office and you look out at these glass skyscrapers, never forget the people who clean the floors. Never forget the people who pour the coffee, swipe the badges, and open the doors. Because true greatness is never measured by how many people bow to you. It is measured by how many people feel safe standing beside you." Later that evening, the sun began to set, painting the sky in deep shades of purple and gold. In a quiet, upscale neighborhood on the edge of the city, a pristine white medical transport vehicle pulled up to a beautiful, single-story brick house surrounded by a lush green garden. Maya stood at the front door, holding the keys, watching as her mother was gently wheeled up the ramp, breathing easily, a bright, beautiful smile on her face as she looked at her daughter's new home. And 2 blocks away, sitting in the back of a sleek, black limousine, Amal watched the reunion through the tinted glass window. She reached down into her designer handbag and pulled out an old, faded, laminated cleaning badge, her mother's original ID card from 30 years ago. She looked at her mother's smiling picture on the plastic badge, then looked up at the golden sunset. "We did it, Mom," Amal whispered to the quiet night air. "They see us now." True wealth isn't found in a billionaire's bank account, and true power isn't found in a corporate title. It is found in the quiet, unshakable dignity of the human soul. Tariq al-Mansur thought he was a king, but he died a pauper in a cage of his own making, while a young girl who shared her mind and kept her heart pure inherited the very empire he tried to steal. Thank you so much for watching this journey with me today. If this story touched your heart, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that karma never misses a doorstep. Until next time, keep your head high, treat everyone with kindness, and remember, the universe is always watching. See you in the next story.